you're live there.
I'm live here.
Yeah. And then if I do...
Frank, come on, man.
At the start.
The title, yeah, of course.
Can I be Frank?
Can I be Frank? And
yeah, I was going to change the title of it now because it's live and an opportunity to change. There we are now. I think we're live.
Well, you don't like Can I Be Frank? It's probably one of the best names for a podcast.
Okay, well there you go. That's all I need. That's enough for me.
I mean, it really is. Can I Be Frank? And your the host name is Frank.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was kind of down it because Brendan.
God,
Kenny,
Brendan's great.
Yeah,
Brendan doesn't think.
Yeah.
He doesn't think the same way as a lot of people, and I think that's what's great about him.
Yeah, he's an alternative way of looking at things, all right.
He's unique. Yeah.
He's a unique dude, all right. He's probably glued to this now, I'd say.
Is he? Do you think? Does he know it's coming
He
on?
actually does. I mean, I don't know if he watches them live, but there's only been 2 of them live, but he does watch them. He does look at them or listen to them.
No. Good.
Which is nice of him. Him and who else looks at them?
I glance.
Would you look at the ones that you're in?
Yeah. Well, I definitely watch those.
Yeah.
I watch all of those.
Did you watch it, the last one we did?
Do you know what? I put it on in the kitchen as if it was a normal podcast while I was working, and it works as a podcast. It really did, because that's the way I would gauge it. If you put it on, and then while you're cooking your dinner, listen to the whole podcast without turning it off.
Yeah.
Then you know it's a good podcast, right?
Yeah, I listened to it. I listened to some of it just to see what the sound was like.
Yeah.
And I didn't mind it. I wasn't dying with fucking cringe, but I mean, I wasn't going to sit.
I enjoyed it.
Did you see somebody put a comment up?
I didn't see any of the comments. No.
Okay, no, somebody put, because it loaded as 3 hours and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Somebody put up the comment, 3 hours and 20 minutes. Fuck that.
That's fair enough.
That's
I
fair
thought
enough,
that might have been the response when a lot of people looked at it.
Because
it's like,
well, it was only 2 hours, and I used his comment as the picture to put it out there. On
oh,
Facebook.
did you? Yeah.
So one of our fans are really excited about the prospect of listening to 3 hours of myself. Well, we're going for a 6-hour sprint today, I think, are we?
6 hours? Yeah. I'm geared for it. We just went for a swim
in the beautiful Irish Sea.
Which wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Do you think it's worth checking that we are indeed live? I know we did the last time.
Yeah,
just
why
to
not?
confirm.
Why not?
I'll check it on the internet.
But I have to say, walking into the sea today, I didn't want to do it. Fear, because I know what the cold is like because I go swimming in the sea.
Yeah.
So like, and you were like, because Frank went, okay, for the next 20 seconds, no thoughts. You're not going to think. And then I was like, Frank, I just thought. And when I thought, I was thinking like I could feel the cold over my body already. And you're like, no more thoughts.
Well, you have to get over yourself. That's the fucking thing. Like, I mean, if you start, you could be there pricking. I see people pricking on the outside
for like 20 minutes.
And it's just going, oh, and there's no point. You're only putting yourself through agony, right? Okay, we are live.
We are live.
You're only putting yourself through utter fucking agony by debating or just mulling over it. You just have to fucking get in.
Go for it.
No pricking.
Yeah.
And you always feel, the reward. I mean, I wasn't looking forward to it, but I do know you're dragging it out by even just standing there in your ankles debate, because it's painful enough waiting in your ankles in the sea and just get in.
Your feet just getting cold.
Yeah. It's just the Irish Sea, like.
And then the breathing when you first get in. It's hard to get past.
Wasn't so bad now.
Yeah, for me it was. That's why I had to swim away from you, because I had to actually swim to get a rhythm to my breath. Because when I do breaststroke, when I do a breaststroke, when I do a breaststroke,
when you do a breaststroke,
when I do a breaststroke,
you do a breaststroke.
When I'm stroking breast, I get into a rhythm, and so therefore you can find the breathing through the actual stroke.
Yeah.
But if you're just sitting there trying to tread water.
Yeah. I don't mind that though. I can't really swim.
You can swim.
Well, I can. What you call it? Do this thing.
That's a breaststroke.
Yeah.
You've been stroking breasts.
I was struck on breasts today in
Good
the
for
sea.
you. Yeah.
But it's nice to get sitting down. Like, I've been going all morning.
Have you?
I have actually, yeah. I woke up at fucking 20 to 6, and I debated about going down for a swim. And then your man, I was telling your man Neil Amurku, who's doing the Wim Hof sunrise every morning at 6 a.m. down at the 40 foot, and I said, maybe I'll get up. And then I did that for an hour.
Yeah. Lying in bed.
Yeah, and then I got up. Yeah. And then that's what happened. I got up.
That's a great story, Frank. At 7:20 you got up, did you?
I got up at 6:40.
6:40
No,
this morning.
sorry, 5:40, and then I got up at 7, and then I looked at this old this old Sony video camera which I discovered yesterday. I told you of. So
yeah.
I fast forwarded through 45 minutes of my honeymoon, which is 12 years ago.
Jesus. 12 years ago. What was I doing 12 years ago? I'd have been 26. So I was living in London, and I was probably at that point working in a call centre just for actors and artists.
What do you mean?
So there was a call centre. Yeah. So you were only allowed to get a job there if you're an actor or an artist or a singer, right? If you were in a band or you were trying to make it in some way through the artistic way of life, right?
Yeah.
So you would go and work in this call centre, and so then they would, if you had any auditions or if you had a gig or anything like that, then you wouldn't have to turn up that day, you know? And they were really cool.
A great idea.
Cool and flexible about it, and you paid tax in the job, but at the same time you could get a split tax, because artists, we pay our own tax.
Yeah.
So in that place you didn't have to worry about taking care of your tax from that place because it went straight through, but they would also help you out with your returns and stuff like that.
What do you mean now when you say we pay our own tax? You're a sole trader, but you don't have to pay tax. Do you have to pay tax now?
Yeah, of course you have to pay tax.
Is there not something about being an artist and not
only if you're a novelist?
If you're a writer?
Yeah. And if you publish a book, you don't have to pay tax on the books.
So you tell me the £100 that I earned from my book,
you don't have to pay tax on it.
Fuck.
Yeah. Mad, right? So yeah, so it was this huge sort of call centre. It was big enough, like.
Okay.
And it would just be filled with all these actors and artists and musicians all day. Man, we had a laugh working in there. Because we were working for Mercedes-Benz, but we were calling up to get people into test drives of cars. So we'd be calling up going, hey, would you like to test drive a Mercedes-Benz? But it's all these actors, so we're all like, hello!
And were they trying accents out, no?
No, but we would mess around. Like, we'd have short story competition, and then, by 2 hours later, we'd all hand in a short story, and then one guy would judge it all. It was mad stuff like that.
In between making calls.
In between
appointment
making calls.
setting.
Well, you see, because when we first started, we were starting a new client, so the system shut down. So then it was just like 9 actors running free through the not literally running, but you know what I mean, doing whatever they could.
Yeah.
And we would just play games, poetry competitions. I know now it sounds very, very naff, but at the time we were just taking the piss. It wasn't dead serious.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So living in London, I was
surrounded by that many actors and all that. Is that not drama? No.
Yeah, I got out of there pretty quick.
Yeah, okay,
I don't deal well with drama, and I'm usually become the centre of attention by trying to avoid being part of it. Because you don't want to be part of the clique, then you don't involve yourself within the social circle, and then because of that, then you become an outsider of the social circle, and therefore
then you're cool.
Prey.
Who's he like?
But also like
he's obviously got
me, that way. That can be an awful.
And surely then when somebody comes in and goes, "Oh, it's my last day of work. I've just got a part in X," and everybody goes, especially in that world, "You can't."
Yeah. No, but you see, that's the thing. It was actually quite. Like, everyone was quite supportive of themselves.
No way.
Because
mind that wire then.
To a degree. I mean,
you're not.
There's always going to be those who are trying to put you down. But like,
no, but is it encouraging that, like, if everybody's working in this call centre and then you're hearing lads leaving the job because they've got...
that's great. Because then it's like, there's still hope.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there's still hope. I might be in here forever with your little fucking headset.
Did anybody actually get a role ever in there?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Like what? Like a decent role now?
Well, like on West End shows and stuff like that. Okay. And one of the guys I was acting with is now in the Royal Shakespeare Academy, or working with. I'll tell you a funny story about him. Yeah, all right. So when I travelled the world, obviously. So I know a lot about you lived in Asia, so I know a lot about Asian culture and Asian people and stuff like that, but I don't know a lot about African culture and African people. Right? And this is the worst. This is me being ignorantly racist at the highest level, right?
Okay.
So we went out to a gig one night, and we're all in this like underground sort of club or whatever. Me and Ian Tripp, who was my
Should I brace myself for this? I feel
this
like
is, oh, it's so bad. So we're out all night, and there's a guy there with us, and he's cool, and we're hanging around all night, and he works in the call center as well. And Ian introduces, my flatmate actually knows him. He's like, this guy works in the call center. RSVP it was called. I'm like, hey man, how are you? So we hang out all night, and then the next day I'm in work, and I'm hung over the bits, and I turn around to the guy behind me, and I was like, hey, that was a real great night last night, wasn't it? And he went, oh, no, sorry, that wasn't me. But we all just looked the same. And I was like, it's a different guy completely. They were just both black. And I was just so heartbrokenly devastated by my ignorance. And he just brushed it off like it was another comment and just left me to wallow in my own self-hatred. And
what did you do? Did you...
I just went, there was no going back from it. There was no going back. It was literally like me hanging out with you all night and then bumping into Emmett the next day and going, Emmett, that was a brilliant night last night. And
well, we're brothers, like.
Yeah, I know. But
I mean, that's not a good example of what you did. That is really...
It was the worst.
You are so racist.
I'm not a racist.
I'm not racist. Says all the Irish people in the world. I'm not a racist.
I'm not a racist. Yeah. But, no, so it was terrible. That was terrible.
Jesus, yeah.
I have another story like that as well.
Have you?
Go on. Want to hear this one? This one's more recent. It's Alawali. He's a friend of mine, an actor friend, Alan Jones, as he likes to be called, because people can't pronounce Alawali here. Real nice guy. We're doing an acting course together. The thing is with Alawali is he wears a lot of hand moisturizer.
Okay.
Right? Which I didn't. I fucking hate hand moisturizer. I hate it on my hands. It feels like there's like a translucent gel covering my hand the whole time.
Yeah.
So he would come into class.
I'd never.
I hate it. Yeah. And he would shake everyone's hands, right? And so he'd shake your hand, hey, and he'd shake someone else's hand, hey. But and I would come into the room and shake everyone's hand. I'd be like, hi Frank, shake your hand, shake Dave's hand, shake everyone's hand, shake Alawali's hand, wipe my hand on the back of my trousers because there's hand moisturizer. But every single time I met him, I didn't realise I was doing this. I would shake his hand and then wipe my hand on my trousers every time I met him for like 3 months. And then I caught him testing me one day because he'd obviously said it to someone else in class. And he shook my hand, but he didn't have moisturiser on that day. So I just went, oh, grand. And then he went, no, shake my hand again. And I shook his hand a second time. And then I was like, what's going on? This is weird. And that's when we figured out what had been going on. And it all came into fruition.
That's a nice happy ending there.
Yeah, it was a happy ending.
Not like the first one.
No, the first one was the worst.
Oh, fuck.
But the second one, at least, I was like, what's going on? And then they were like, why do you wipe your hand? Because of the moisturiser.
Sure look.
There you go. Dylan the racist.
Dylan the racist pig.
Twice.
No need to add in the pig, but
like a racist. Yeah. Yeah, the pig.
Yeah. Oh, sure, look, there we are now. Sure, we're exhausted after the stressful morning.
Yeah. I'm kind of away with it at the moment. Nowadays. Do we have a focus? Oh, what were we going to talk? What was I going to tell you about downstairs and then decided not to?
You were going to start telling me that you're going out drinking tonight.
I'm going out drinking tonight.
Yeah.
I am. I got drunk the other day.
For the first time.
Did I tell you this? I went on a stag do with Emma, my girlfriend.
You went on a stag do with the girl?
Yeah, with Emma. So me and Emma came over on the Friday, and then on the Saturday, England were playing in the football.
Yeah.
So we went to the pub I work in sometimes to chat with Manus, a friend of mine, and introduce him to Emma and stuff.
Manus, I've heard of his name.
Real nice guy. And we were watching the game and having a beer, and I thought, you know what, I'll have 2 beers. And then the stag party came in. That knew Manus, and he finished his shift, and then we ended up just on a pub crawl and stag do.
Okay.
I didn't really like it that much because they all ended up doing cocaine and then just talking at me, which happens a lot.
It's not fair. It's much better to be the one doing the talking at.
Yeah, than to be
talking to. Yeah. Oh,
but the thing is, I noticed as well. This I don't know, but everyone does cocaine.
Is that true?
Everyone does.
I'm just having
cocaine.
a clue, like.
Well, just anyone I go out with now, at any point, if I'm on the piss, at one point someone's going to mention cocaine. And like of all walks of life, it doesn't matter where you come from or who you're with. It's just always cocaine. I've even started saying it to my dad. I'm like, Dad, everyone does cocaine. He's like, when I was in the 70s, everyone did cocaine. I was like, it's not the 70s anymore, Dad. And he's like,
well, I'm not surprised. I just don't encounter it. Sure, I don't be out in the city like.
Yeah. But it's just everyone. Anyway, so I'm going on the drink tonight.
And did you take any cocaine?
No, I didn't. No.
Yeah, it's a dirty fucking drug.
I never liked it. Never liked it, never will. You just, I can talk enough. And I can be
you don't need any help
drinking.
whatsoever, I would have thought. Like.
I think it's weird. People who don't have confidence when they drink. To be honest, the only thing that I ever did it for was to keep drinking.
Yeah. Okay.
Late at night, you know, that way you
keep the crack going.
Just to keep going. Yeah. But I don't. No. I mean, drugs really aren't for me anymore. The higher level of drugs, anyway. Definitely not.
Like what?
Cocaine.
Go on.
Ecstasy. Heroin. Crystal meth.
Have you
a long time ago.
Yeah. Oh Jesus. Yeah.
But I wouldn't. Even then, even when I was young, I did it once or twice. I'm like, what am I doing? This is fucking stupid. So I just stopped, and that's why I probably stayed away from cocaine. All highly addictive drugs.
Is it highly addictive?
Cocaine. Yeah. Okay. Like it's physically addictive. Like it'll hit the transmitters in your brain.
I must be just a fucking total wuss when it comes to those sorts of things.
Why?
Because I've taken them maybe, I can't my fingers the number of times I've taken them when I was a younger man, but just never really did anything for me at all. Like I never really got what people got from it. I didn't get it, and then I felt ill always afterwards. So
yeah, the come down.
Yeah, now I remember it was we were away somewhere and we got some, but I don't think actually it was cocaine. I think it was ketamine.
Oh God, did that go weird?
Went nuts, yeah. And then I ended up vomiting.
Yeah. So. I don't know, man. I mean, when you're young, I think,
when you're young,
try out some stuff, party a little bit, but just don't make the party. Don't be reliant on the party. Is what I think the main thing is. Go out, take a bit of cocaine if you want on a weekend. Smoke a bit of weed, party a little bit.
Drink
there,
slow, drink 10, 15 pints. That's okay.
Don't do that.
Okay, you can't do that.
Also drink in moderation. Have a bit of a laugh, but just don't let the drugs be the main reason for the party. Do you know what I mean?
Do you think? Why? Yeah.
The interaction and having
but
a crack
I've had some of the
adventures.
best fucking nights of my life when I was younger on substances.
Yeah.
And they were absolutely amazing nights, and I wouldn't have them any other way. But I mean, the problem with me is that I never enjoyed the bad side of it. The come down. I probably would have taken loads more. It's just the come down to me way outweighed what you got on the night out. If I was suffering for a week afterwards.
Yeah.
The depths of despair after
I do.
A festival and taking pills.
I couldn't go to a festival like that again. I'm thinking I might do a festival again, but I'll be glamming it. I'll be in the nice
glamming
area.
is what now?
Is when you're in the nice separate area that you pay more for.
Does it help?
Yes, it does, because you get a nice solid warm place to sleep.
Okay, it's not a tent then in the morning.
It's not, no. You pay and you can either get like an expensive teepee, those ones, the waterproof ones, or a little wooden hut. It's glamping, so you're not camping here. It's glamorous camping. Okay. And then in the other area, it's just like hell. But when we were 20-something, it was heaven.
It's still hell when you woke up in the morning. The electric picnic is coming along now.
But
just that feeling when you wake up in the morning and you've totally and utterly tore the ass up, and you wake up
and you got to do
that
it all
split
again.
Second of devastation, and you want to run. You want to run from the campsite. You just do not want to. And somebody is outside drinking a can already.
Yeah. Here, get up, will you?
That's the fucking killer.
No, it's the best. I remember one time, man, we went to Witness. This was back in the Witness days. Yeah. And me and Barry would never pay into Witness. We'd always just sort of lift the fence and go in, because security was so bad back then.
Okay. Yeah.
And so we'd always sleep in the car park, right? So I'd been out all night, and I'd even lost Barry. And then next thing I knew, I was in a car with these like 3 dudes, and we were doing cocaine, and it was like really early in the morning. And I didn't know any of them, and they didn't know any of me, or know me at all. And then at one point, that dawned on us all. That like it's like a drop fell into the water, and the ripple just hit us all at the same time. We're like, we don't know this dude. And I'm like, I don't know these guys. And it all just sort of went, yo, so I'm going to go now. And they were all like, yeah, maybe you should go now. And it was so weird because it was like this telepathic thing. And the sun is coming up. And I open the door and get out and stretch. And just as I'm stretching, our mate Murphy, after waking up, gets out of... And I'm like, I wonder where the guys are. Gets out like 3 cars away and stands up and stretches. And like, morning, Dylan. And I'm like, Murphy. But I haven't slept and he's just getting up. And that was the beginning of the next day. And I didn't sleep at all. Just went straight into it.
Man,
it was...
I heard that about cocaine, that people say one thing that they hated is you just wind up in these places with these fucking assholes in the shitholes of shitholes, and you just get totally lost in it. Yeah. That doesn't sound interesting to me now.
Not at all. But you see, you do go on adventures. Sure, I ended up... Remember that time I flew to London? Do you want to hear a story?
Yeah.
Do you want to hear a story?
Go on, yeah.
So we're doing a bit of reminiscing back, because I used to be wild. I'm not wild anymore. I'm apprehensive about drinking 3 or 4 pints tonight. Like that's the sort of state I'm in now, right?
Will you stop at 3 or 4 pints though?
You see, I think I'll start late. I'll just slow down, because once I hit about 4, then I'll just keep going. You know that way. Yeah. But if it's late in the night, then I won't. You know, like the other day when I was drinking little cans, and they were 3.2%, and I got to about 3, and then I stopped drinking for a while and drank some like soda water and stuff just to sober up a bit.
That's a serious change in behaviour.
Then we got in and hit pints, and I had like 3 or 4 pints. And then I was like, because there's pints of Guinness. That's why I'm like, I don't want to drink Guinness tonight. Yeah. Because once Guinness, like the can would take me 40 minutes to drink. Mm. But a pint of Guinness is gone in 15 minutes.
I know, but it's so tasty, like.
It's so good.
Do you
good. Just lowered. And I was smoking though. That's the other bad thing. So once I start drinking, I start smoking cigarettes.
I saw on this website somewhere, right, that... basically, somebody said that if you have a grandmother that's Irish, you can get an Irish passport, no matter where you're from, right? Somebody put the comment, "I'm an alcoholic. Does that count?" Because everybody was really delighted about the fact that you get a passport and it was easy to get a passport, and then somebody was going, "I'm an alcoholic." But that is definitely the perception
of Ireland. Oh, definitely, man. Definitely. Well, you see, do you want to hear something controversial?
Go on, yeah.
This is really controversial. So should I give a prelude to it, or say it and shock everyone and then move on? I'll say it and shock everyone.
Well, I don't think you should give a fuck about anybody who's listening.
Okay, so basically Ireland have 9/11 to thank for the world's perception of us. Alright. It seems like a very obscure statement.
What?
Right? Ireland has 9/11 to thank for the world's perception of us now. You see, before that, I've been travelling since I was about 14.
Yeah.
And whenever anyone stopped you and talked to you about Ireland, they always talked about terrorism. It was always about the bombs in the north, and isn't Ireland got bombs and violence and a war going on there? Even once it had far surpassed and we were in the south, they would still question. Every now and then you still get a little bit. But we were known as like the terrorist groups who train people in Panama and stuff like that. You know that, right?
Yeah.
And then after 9/11, we're no longer the terrorists. Al-Qaeda became the terrorists, so Irish became the fun drunk people. And it like we always had a little bit of both. We always had like, they were depraved alcoholics, and these terrorist depraved alcoholics. But then after 9/11 it became like, they're just like crack. Really great crack, and they drink too much, and there's so much soul to them. And I noticed a sizable change after 9/11 when I was travelling, with the way that people approached me.
I think that could be correct.
I believe I'm 100% correct in my, but it's hard to say that. Like, thank God for 9/11, because that's a terrible thing to say, right? Yeah. But in the comedian brain that I have, also, I'm going to start a comedy night, by the way.
Oh, are you?
Yeah. A friend of mine.
What do you mean you're going to start a comedy night? You're going to
in the bar that I work. Me and a guy called Craig. I'm going to host the comedy night.
I'm just going to put the timer on this so I don't forget.
For this?
Then I don't need to worry about it.
Yes. Anyway, yeah. So that's my take on it. So alcoholism in this country, I mean, the way that we talk about alcohol is weird in this country. First of all, in most of the countries you go to in the world, let's talk about sexes. Women don't drink pints. Just about everywhere else in the world, women don't drink pints. In Ireland, women drink pints, and that's perfectly normal. And why not? Sure, fuck it. Freedom. We can all do what we want. But even looking at it,
in England they do too.
Not as much. Women will drink glasses or shorts. In Ireland, pints of Guinness, not a bother, not a fucking bother. And I know that seems like why do you look at that perspective? Well, that's just one way of looking at it as a total societal thing. You know, women drinking pints, drinking a lot more, consuming a lot more alcohol. Also, like, do you have any alcoholic friends? You don't have to name them or anything like that.
I know of.
Yeah, of course, right? We all do, right?
Yeah.
And you don't say, "Oh, he's an alcoholic." You say, when you talk to people, "Well, he's fond of the drink," right? Like, even our language. Someone who's an alcoholic in Ireland.
One person I knew was an alcoholic. Like, was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a case of he's just fond of the drink. No, he took it up a gear. Like,
yeah. But the majority
went all the way to now being dry.
Oh, really? Yeah, he's an AA. All right.
Yeah.
Well. But even the way we refer to it is the point I was trying to get to.
Well, sorry, as long as you're not the drunkest in the room in Ireland, you're all right.
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, there's a guy I know a guy who's a full-blown alcoholic, and that we should do something to help him. But no one does anything. We all
you can't do anything to help him.
Intervention or something like that.
Do interventions work, I wonder?
They probably do, yeah.
Do they? Yeah.
Where all your family and friends and loved ones sit you down and say, "Look, we're worried about you."
It's still, though, even then you'd say to yourself, "Well, you know what, now I'm going to go on one more bender."
And then it's over.
Yeah. I think you have to realise it yourself. I think you have
no, you do, yeah.
Well, maybe you do, maybe you don't. I don't know, like. Maybe it helps, like, if everybody in the room is going around going, you fucked up everything.
Yeah.
But it is like, I mean, I'd say interventions maybe happen a lot earlier in other countries, do they? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe they do. But but the thing I was trying to get to is just the way that we refer to it in Ireland. It's just like a casual thing. Like, someone who drinks way too much, we just go, he's fond of a drink. Or it's passed off. When in other cultures that doesn't happen as much. I mean, England would have as much of a drinking culture as Ireland, and yet we're labelled the ones as alcoholics. Although we did invent whiskey, so I mean, that helps.
Yeah, and Guinness. But I have to speak for myself. Like, I'm sure if I was talking to a Yank and somebody who didn't drink that much, and I'd be saying, I've really cut down. I only have like 4 beers on Friday, and maybe 4 on Saturday.
Yeah,
they'd probably go, "That's a huge amount of beer."
Yeah.
They probably would.
Well, it depends, man. Americans drink a lot too, you know.
Yeah.
It just depends on what part of America. You have your Bible Belt where they're kind of more restrained, but Americans
what do you mean how do you know they're more restrained? I'd say they're fucking loons then if they've got the Bible. Because
but in terms of alcohol,
all they have to do is go to mass on the Sunday and everything's grand.
Forgive themselves.
Yeah. I'd say.
I was thinking about that. All right, so thinking about the Bible in terms of the sort of psychological perspective that Jordan Peterson looks at it.
Yeah.
And that whole forgiveness, you know, that way if you say to God, even if you've murdered 50 people and you're on your deathbed and you're just about to close your eyes and you forgive or you repent, then he'll forgive you and you're straight into heaven.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, so I think in the psychological terms, I think that's just forgiving yourself, isn't it? Like, if you've done something really bad, you can never really move forward with yourself until you've come to terms with it. It's a shaky theory, but I'm just kind of thinking of it at the moment. So, like,
yeah, you've jumped off the booze there now. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. I jumped completely. Sorry, because I'm like a butterfly. So you just brought that up. So if we're jumping into psychological terms of how the forgiveness and coming to terms with the sins that you've created yourself, you know, then you get into heaven. But is heaven just peace of mind in the world you live in now? So when they say that if you apologize or feel sorry for all your sins to God, he'll know that you truly mean it, and if you do, then you're free to get into heaven. But what I think that means in psychological terms is if you forgive all your past transgressions and truly forgive yourself, then you'll be able to be content with yourself and move forward in your life and therefore live in heaven.
Would you like to go to heaven?
Depends on what heaven is. What is heaven?
Well, that's what I mean. It's okay. It's like too much sugar, though. I couldn't even fucking bear the. I just think I love my goodies, but if you eat goodies all the time,
well, man, how do you know that heaven isn't us sitting in a room like this doing podcasts all the time, but then popping down and having a beer and not having any worries about getting sick or anything like that?
So in other words, you can just drink loads of beer and you don't get the
don't get the hangover. It's like, do you want to go in and play computer games for 25 hours? Yeah. Well, why can't we?
So
There's
you,
no
so
reason
you could
why
eat
we
chicken
can't.
wings, you're saying, all
We could
day,
sit there.
every day.
You know,
and
we
then
could
you just
have
never
we could
put
have
on weight.
bacon fries from the pub. You know those poisonous bacon fries. Which
And could
I
you
love.
do that for eternity? I think I could.
And
do
you
chicken
could do it
wings
for
for eternity.
Well, look. Let's say you get bored of the chicken wings after eternity. It's
Yeah,
like,
move
well,
on to
I'm going to
Mexican.
move on to something else.
Mexican food, and maybe there's some brand new food in heaven. Okay, no, I could get
Maybe
into the
it's
heaven
like
thing then.
Chicken mixed with curry, like a curry chicken mix, but the actual chicken becomes a curry. You don't know because in heaven they can do that.
And you don't have to be married. Not that there's nothing wrong with being married, but I'm just saying you don't have to be married for eternity. You can see other people and nobody's been offended.
I'm not married.
Do you ever see that? Do you ever see that Curb Your Enthusiasm sketch?
No. Which one?
And Larry's just about to get married, and
Is this the new season?
no, it was one of the earlier seasons. He's about to get married to a woman, and she said, "Look, I'd just like to run through my vows with you." And she's saying, "You know, I'm going to love you for all of my life, and then when we get to heaven, and we're going to be with each other for eternity and forever." And ever and ever, and then Larry, you can see him just getting uncomfortable. And he goes, "I thought we might be, when we get to heaven, that we might see other people." Fuck's sake! Eternity forever and
When
ever
we get
and
to
ever.
heaven, yeah,
It's a very long time.
it is a long time.
Eternity, yeah.
But I suppose if you're getting all the new updates on games and movies,
Yeah, and you're probably able to be the star of all the movies as well. Is that what you're thinking too? In heaven? So there's no bad shit in heaven. But then if there's no bad shit, then how is it any good, like?
how do you know what's good?
Well, yeah, isn't that what they say? I don't know who they fucking say, but this idea that you need bad shit to be able to recognise
What
it's
good
like,
shit is.
you need the taste of sour to know what's sweet.
That's a famous quote, isn't it? But yeah.
Some fuckers.
So if we're in heaven, will we get bored? Is that
that's
what
what
you
I'd be thinking, yeah. But then you'd have to get rid of boredom then.
Yeah,
in
but you
heaven.
see,
In
this
your
is the
in
thing.
this heaven.
You're thinking that if we're in heaven, we're the same as we are here.
Well, yeah. What's the point in going to heaven then? Somebody else.
But maybe you're the same person, but you're all-knowing. So you get to heaven, you're already all-knowing. So all the little fickle shit that made you
So then you've
insecure is gone.
So then you've done is you know everything. You have no insecurities. You get bored. You probably want to come back and be reincarnated again, wouldn't you?
Yeah, maybe that's it.
I'd say so.
But then, how come there's so many people? Like, if we're all just being reincarnated, because I suppose we're killing off all the animals.
Go on, sorry.
So instead of coming back as animals and so reincarnation. When one thing dies, another thing is born, right?
Yeah.
But there's so many people now. But there wasn't always that many people.
Yeah, good point. Go on.
So does that mean if every fish we kill turns into a human or something like that? Because we're depleting the amount of animals and we're just gaining the amount of people. Therefore, will there ever be a balance unless we wipe out a
you
lot
see,
of
you
people?
probably went up
Or
and
do you
went,
come back as a
do you know
butterfly?
what? Like, it's way better crack being a human than a giraffe.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Yeah, so then there's loads of humans. And God's up there going, would someone please be a giraffe?
They're going to be extinct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and no one wants to be a dodo. Come on, we'll bring dodos back. But I don't want to be the only dodo. It'd be lovely. And maybe there's a cue to get into reincarnation, right? So if you're in heaven... Now we're going completely obscure here.
Yeah.
But if you're in heaven, right, you got to get back. And it's like, well, a butterfly only lives for a day, man. So I'm going to be on Earth for a day, and then I'm going to wait here for another century before I get back to be another animal. It's like, don't you want to be a lion, dude?
Yeah, but then it wouldn't be heaven like you have to wait that long. That'd be a bit shit, wouldn't it? Yeah, I'd be putting complaints in.
Maybe.
The heaven.
Yeah. Maybe heaven's just... Maybe we're in heaven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bit warm up here, though, all the same, isn't it?
Yeah. What then? Is it hell? I don't think we're living in hell. Anyway, we got very obscure.
Yeah, do you know what this is? You know DMT?
Yeah.
I sometimes think that whatever the fuck... I just imagine... apparently when you do DMT, which I've never done, that you come back and you go, what the fuck? Because you've gone, you're the same, but you're in an alternate universe. Apparently, you're actually ballooned out of your body
Into an alternate
through
universe.
a white tunnel.
I've heard, yeah.
And apparently, like that when you come back, it's like you're readjusting to this viewpoint. So sometimes I think that imagine if you fucking when you die, you wake up, you suddenly go, oh, I'm never fucking doing that again.
You mean that this whole
experience
is a DMT trip?
Or something like it, yeah. Did you wait? Because I've heard that people
But then
have done
what if this is a great life and then we wake up and we're like a Filipino farmer who lives in a wooden hut and lives on like $1 a day?
Well, he's probably happy, like, if he's out there at his dad. He probably doesn't need much more than $1 if he's got a farm. Did you say a farm?
Yeah.
Well, he's probably sorted then. Sorry, but what you're saying is if he's...
Yeah, you're right.
But what you're saying...
I was thinking like living in abject poverty.
And, yeah. But say you're tortured, maybe, or some fucking...
Well, that's even worse. But what? They give you DMT in between your torturing?
No, but I mean,
like you wake up and they're just
people can be in terrible poverty, but they're not depressed. They're just having to survive.
Yeah. Well, I think because of that, they're not as depressed. And I think that's the problem with modern day society.
Yeah.
We have so much going on that we think too much. It's a good thing as well because it's how we develop. But in the old days, we were just trying to survive. So you didn't really have time to be depressed, as we would clinically put it.
Yeah.
Because you were just trying to stay alive, right?
Well, it's like somebody was talking about being in ice cold water. It was Joe Rooney was saying it. He was describing being in the ice bath, and he was going, they must do something for depression, the ice bath, because when you're in there, you can't even be depressed. And so I think when you're in that survival mode, then there isn't. Well, maybe there is loads of people fucking depressed. I mean, it's a bit ignorant of me talking about it from here, but from my attic. But getting back to, this DMT thing, that DMT idea, it's people have taken, there's another one called Sativa. And people talk about something happens, they take the substance, and then they've described a scenario where they're in another household, in another life, it's Christmas morning, and it may only last X amount of time here, but some people have, in what I've read about, that has lasted 10 months in this new...
While they're on the DMT, they've been
this
10
is Saturday.
months.
They've been 10 months in this new life that was only 40 minutes in fucking this life.
No fucking way.
So that's just, to me, is...
And what, married with kids, like?
I can't remember. It was Christmas morning. They describe Christmas morning. They're in a place and it's Christmas morning. And I think actually they're a kid in it.
Could it not be themselves as a kid?
Well, it was just a totally different family, and it was happening, and it was live and happening. I just think that's...
I'd love to know details. Like, was it now? Was it in modern time, or was it like...
It's on Joe Rogan or somebody's on... It's on Joe Rogan on one of these podcasts.
Right, okay.
Google somebody's experience of it. I'll try and find it. But
what do you think of reincarnation? Because that's reincarnation that they're talking about.
We don't want to go down this route, though, do we? What do I think it is? Yeah. I don't think there's reincarnation.
No.
I think this is it.
This is it.
This is it. Yeah. I think this is everything.
Yeah. When I was
a kid, But it's not like this is it, and it's. I think this is a phenomenon that's happening, and it's unexplainable.
When I was a kid, I used to lie in bed and I used to try and picture what was next, like what would happen when I died, and it would always just go black every single time.
Yeah.
And that would freak me out so much. I'm like, okay, so I go to sleep, and then what? And it was just black.
Well, you see, but that seems to me still to be a kind of a personal experience of blackness, as opposed to, I have, and this is only an idea, that say you have a balloon. Have I told you this before? I think it's nice.
Maybe.
As a balloon floating up in the sky, and it's one of those gassy balloons, so it floats by itself.
Yeah, and when it gets too high.
No, let's just say for the purpose of my story that it doesn't go too high.
Okay.
But it bursts.
Okay.
The balloon falls to the ground and is taken up, hopefully, by the environment or whatever. And the air, that which animated the balloon, returns to being everything.
Like the soul.
The what?
The soul. So the air is the soul inside of you, is that? And the balloon, the husk of it is your body.
And it doesn't know that it's everything.
Yeah.
That which animated the balloon is everything. So suddenly everything becomes something separate, which is you or me or whatever. But when on death, that which is separate
goes back
to being everything. But that's just an idea.
That's very nice.
It's an idea, yeah. But and so that within that there is no death then, and there is no beginning or end. There's just this thing that
like
we're
a changing
in.
cycle. Yeah.
Not even There's this thing that's happening.
Yeah.
If there's even a thing that's happening, and within that, like, you know, a dog doesn't have an existential crisis about being separate from the world. It's just there's just this isness and food or whatever, and then anyway.
Well, I can't properly link these together, but it reminds me. I was reading Jung, Carl. You know Carl Jung?
I know.
So I started reading that stuff, and that will. Have you read much of his? It's difficult.
What's the name of his? Is he a more famous book?
I'm reading the conscious one.
He didn't do the meaning one. No, that's not him.
No, I can't remember the name of the book, which is ridiculous because it's at home.
And you studied that book? Is
that
part of your course?
No, just separate to it. No, but when I was doing the Jordan Peterson course online, he had a section on Jung, and I went to the National Library to read sections of it. Because so on the courses you watch Jordan Peterson, his lectures, he has all the papers that would go along with the lectures, so you can read them in turn.
Okay.
So I read some really interesting stuff on shamanism, and then I was reading Jung as well. And something happened. Do you ever get these when you're reading certain things and like it's like an epiphany happens, but you feel it physically as well as mentally? Have you ever had that? Where you get this like, it's like a
realization.
Yeah, but it's like something opening up. So I was reading Jung one day, and obviously I pursued acting for a long time in my life, right? And a lot of people nowadays are shooting for that, like wanting to be famous and wanting that quick fix and thinking that there's something special and they have to get to this certain point, right? And I'd always had that in my life, like, and maybe it's a bit of narcissism or whatever, but like there's something special about me and I just don't know what it is yet and I need to develop it, right?
Yeah.
And I always thought that was within acting, that I was supposed to be this star and this sort of high up above figure, you know, and so that's what I was kind of aiming for. And even when Jordan Peterson teaches you, he teaches you about aiming for the stars, right?
Yeah.
But as I was reading this piece, now I can't remember what the exact quote is because the language is so difficult. I mean, like I had to read over and over this paragraph, but while I was reading it, and what I do with Jung is I'd read a paragraph and then I'd write that paragraph in my own words, like how I interpreted it. Otherwise, I just can't understand it, you know, because it's too complex for me. Because I haven't studied my whole life, you know, and I'm just getting used to that sort of stuff. So while I was reading, I had this epiphany. So that, which kind of relates to that, there's that, like you are everything, but you're not quite aware of it. Like, how would you say?
Go on, yeah.
Like what you were saying with the air inside the balloon, right?
Yeah.
That is the special thing in life, right? Our physical body is the husk. Although it is extremely important to keep connected with that thing inside of you, I think to have a better, more balanced life. A friend of mine's doing this with CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. She's trying to bring in a new bit of therapy that involves yoga as well. So it's connecting the mind, the body, and the processes all
okay, yeah.
Anyway, that's diverging from the point I was trying to make, which is while I was reading this, I had this epiphany that search for something special, to be a star, to be something more important than other, is really just you trying to connect with that thing that's inside you.
To fill the gaping hole.
Yeah, because what you're doing is you're searching for something that is going to make you a star and make you big and beautiful. But if you actually realize that the big and beautiful thing is already inside you, and that it's just you trying to attain how to connect with that, but that once you connected with that, all of that outside seeking, like looking to be famous or looking to be special or looking to get drunk to escape, or all of these things are just ways of trying to attain, like taking lots of drugs all of the time, you know, like addicts, to try and reach that high.
Yeah.
That high actually exists inside of you. Yeah. But the problem is that we're disconnected from ourselves at the moment because we're always on an outward output, like looking at a screen or playing a computer game or checking our phones or checking our... Because we don't even need to check our phones anymore. We can check our watches to do the same thing. And because we're always looking and, I need to be big, and if I make this much money and drive this much car, then I'll become this special entity that I know that I am inside, because you know it. You know inside yourself that there's something in there. But people are always looking on the outside for that thing instead of connecting with themselves on the inside. And you always find that the people who are like the most down to earth and content with themselves have connected with that part. And so then they're just trying to potter through life. And if they have an interest, they're working on that interest. You know, you meet these people and you're like, how do you do it? And they're like, hey, come on in. And just you can tell from their essence that they're calm with who they are, that they still have struggles and life is still difficult, but they've connected with that one piece that's just inside them. And that's something that I was trying to do when I quit acting, because I realized at that point, I'm like, my whole life I've been striving to become this star, to prove to other people that I am this special thing that's worthy, right? But while trying to prove to other people that I'm this thing, I've actually destroyed parts of who I really am, or at least cut out pieces of who I am. That reminds me of there's a spoken word by a guy called Anis Morjani, and he goes, I've cut out so many pieces of myself and tied myself so tightly in a ball that I've just become this like entity that's outside of myself. I can't remember the exact quote. Well, if you were just to stop and connect with that thing that's inside you, of which I still don't know how to do. So I had that epiphany, but I don't know how to find it. And I forget it. And then every now and then I'll read this paragraph which I've written out, and I'll get this like this breathtaking feeling over my body, like this is what matters, this is what connects. And I think that's what happens when you read great literature like that. Now, and I know it's intimidating, because I'm intimidated by reading young. Like, I had to sit down and go like, all right, 15 minutes twice a week. And then for the 15 minutes, I'm like, I've read this one paragraph 7 times because the language is so difficult. I don't understand these words. Should I be looking up these words every time I get to a word I don't understand? But they tell you shouldn't do that when reading difficult literature. You should read through it and just try and get the gist of what the word means, and then come back another point and look it up. Because if you're stopping constantly to look up words, you're not taking in the content. But when you read stuff like that, your brain shifts. And I think that's real positive. It's philosophy in a way.
Yeah, it's very interesting what you said there. I do think it's kind of human, who we are is this thing of it's always better, like, it's always somewhere else. I think that's the kind of, this striving, but I do think that spiritual, that thing of trying to connect in here is a similar sort of striving in a way. I do think it's another, it's definitely when I really make and get, like, there's fucking man, I won't even bore you with the amount of shit that I've read around all of that, connecting with your inner self, fucking healing your fucking inner baby, and all this shit too. Then I'll be there, and then I'll be at peace. And oh man, I mean, when is peace? Like, what will you recognize it if it hits you in the face? Probably not, because it's looks like it's somewhere else, and it's always somewhere else. And I think that it's more so comes from the feeling of that I'm here and the world is out there and it's totally and utterly separate from me, and I have to negotiate my way through this world in order to survive. And if I don't do a good job here, and if I'm not really fucking this and this, then I won't achieve Y, and then I won't be happy until I've achieved Y. But then when you achieve Y, it's kind of, you get 15 minutes of release, and
then you've got to achieve the next thing.
The next thing. And I think it is, I mean, some of it is kind of wanting to do well, or wanting to, but mostly, I think it's a human thing. Like, look at the whole structure of everything is, from what I can see anyway, everything is built upon you need to build your career in order to get to this place, this idyllic place of peace and fucking wealth or fame or whatever the fuck it's a seeking thing. But what is it? What gape and hole? I think some holes are bigger than others, and some people go seeking way more than others, and maybe some people are content, but you can never really tell how fucking somebody else is doing. Not really. They might appear like, especially the yoga fuckers, and I know disrespect, but some of them are. They do give you the impression of finding a place, a total bliss, but that's total projection on, if they're there like this and go, namaste. Those fuckers, have you seen the Osho documentary? And this whole thing of namaste and all that, and fucking peace and veganism, and I just think, fuck off, like. I mean, if that's working for you, that's great.
Yeah.
If you're happy.
Why are you so angry?
I'm not angry. I just think it's more. It's dressed up more as that's beautiful, and it's a new type of seeking. So if it's fame is one type of seeking, then namaste and peace to all is another sort of place to get to. I think now the reality is, if you're doing destructive shit to yourself, right? Forgetting all fucking inner self and outer self and up and down. If you're doing destructive shit to yourself continuously, and if you're not happy with your life, then you have to make changes in order to, you know, if you're stuck in a rut and a cycle, then you make changes, or hopefully change will happen. But it's not that I just have experienced a huge amount of it, and I have no interest in this. I have an interest in trying stuff, but this whole kind of, like, I used to go to these satsangs and somebody would say to me, can you take off your shoes? Because, and I was obviously just being, I just never said, why should I take off my shoes at this? But that's because they all sat cross-legged, and it's more, you know, having to be a certain way, act a certain way, be a certain way.
So you couldn't turn up. Wait. So let me see if I'm interpreting this right. So you couldn't turn up and take part in the Namaste without being part of the whole Namaste culture. It's like, why can't you just turn up as Frank and do the yoga?
Yeah, that's what I felt. It was more.
You have to become a part of the culture, or else you're not right. Is that what you mean?
It's not. No, this is just personal. It's not on them. It was more so my sense of, I thought these sorts of places were just, you know, free and peace loving, but they have their own fucking rituals and
it's
ways.
Only free and peace loving if you agree with them.
If you go along with that, and then you see, where does that lead? Well, do you know what? Now I think everybody should wear white. Let's all wear white together, because white is a peaceful colour. Is it a peaceful colour? I don't know if it's a peaceful colour.
Well, it's kind of like
do you feel better? Somebody says that to
when
you.
you do ayahuasca, they're always like, wear white because it lets in the spirit and all of that.
Yeah.
And
is that true? Like,
well, this is what I was thinking. No, they tell you to wear white because there's no lights on. Yeah. And so they can see where you are better in the dark when you're moving around with bright white clothes. Because there's just like little candles, right?
Yeah.
And when you've got to wander off to the toilet because you have diarrhea or need to vomit, and they can see where you're going and guide you better. That's what I think. I mean, they put it as a religious thing.
Well, you see, I remember when I was doing it, this woman came up to me.
Well, you did it in very strange circumstances. I think you and a woman alone in this like broken down place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't have enjoyed that.
Well, actually, though, it was I preferred a scenario than going with, you know, with 10 people there.
Yeah. I know, yeah.
But she was doing all this stuff of warding off the bad spirits, and it was like putting sage everywhere. And I remember thinking, going, well, now in fairness, there was moments during the whole experience where I thought, well, it is kind of loving. She's really trying to do a good job to make sure that I'm not going through torment, and it is quite lovely. But I just don't. I'd be so kind of, well, do you think that sage is actually working or not? Like, even in the whatever the fuck I was going through, I still had the thought of, yeah, do you think the sage is really doing anything for the fucking shit that I'm going through here now? I've just been vomiting for 3 hours, but let's do this.
Did you vomit for 3 hours?
I vomited for 5 hours.
Really?
I vomited for all.
You just non-stop. Did she say anything about that?
She said I thought it was an exorcism.
Did she say that? Because you vomited so much?
Yeah, but sure, I was wailing drama. Like, I'm well able to do drama too. Like,
wailing, were you?
She was screaming and screeching. It was
amazing.
Amazing.
I think it's amazing. Ayahuasca is amazing. I remember I was doing it, and then there was a guy's like in my imagination going like, you have to pray now at this point.
I'm just going to put this time on again.
And I'm like, pray, but that means I have to get up on my knees to pray. And I was lying down wrapped in blankets, because we were up in the mountains of Ecuador. It was cold, so you wrap in blankets. The warmer you are, the more you trip.
Yeah.
And then like in my vision, there was a guy, not saying it, but he's like, no, you have to worship the bonfire. We're in front of a big bonfire. And I was like lying back, and this is a part of me in life. This is so weird that you see it as a lesson, like, because that's sacrifice. Like, you have to sacrifice being lazy to get up and get forward and get the things done. But I was lying down, so I'm like, I don't want to get up and kneel. And then the guy was like, no. And then all these people were around me going, no, you have to kneel. So like in real life, then I was like, oh. But my eyes are closed the whole time. So if you were looking from an outside perspective, you just see this guy, it's like, and then go, oh. They just get up on his knees and just start sitting like with the blanket out like he's a bird. Like, and I was sitting there for like 5 minutes, raising up to the sky in the middle. But like in my mind, there's flames and there's people
dancing
around.
I know that's it's the inner world. That is fucking so. They're really interesting things. I think
psychedelics.
I think they are really interesting things. Sorry, I saw somebody put a comment up there. I wasn't looking for
this.
Will I read it?
Go on.
Oh, it's on something else actually. He replied to me on something else.
No,
it's not on this.
No, but that's fine. My brain's not as awake as it normally is today.
Do you think?
Yeah, that's the way I feel anyway. I'm doubting my thoughts, which is never good. Because I had an idea of coming to you with the concept, but I don't think my brain is ready to deliver the concept to you in the fashion that I was thinking.
Okay.
Because like what I was thinking is of taking a few random selections from what's happening in society, and then sort of placing them as a concept together, and then posing a question to you, right?
Okay.
But you see, I think it would be better if there was like three of us, because then what I would do is I would research the information.
Yeah.
And then I would pose the question, say you and Emmett. And then you and Emma would be like, well, I think this, and I think this. And I would join in the discussion. Then I'd be like, well, this is what I researched on the subject, and this is what it says, and what do you think about this? And then see where your natural opinions would lead you compared to what the general consensus is.
Yeah.
And see if our brains are working on the same level as society is at the moment.
And do you have some examples?
One
example
like,
of it?
like a concept, like, because I'd have to think a lot about the ideas. So, like, for me at the moment, I don't know if it's because I'm actually full on tackling my brain at the moment that I'm actually coming into darker corners of my mind than I've ever been in, right? Mm-hmm. But that's as a transitional period. You know, you've got to go through the hellfire. It's mad the way we always use religious quotes when we talk about this sort of stuff. You know, you've got to pass through the hellfire to get through to the other side, and so I have to like face the deepest, darkest side of myself, transition to the other side. And this is another. I was going to say to you there when we were just chatting before, like, are we like the way that we look at the world is very analytical, right? We're constantly having these sorts of conversations where we're trying to figure out basically philosophical conversations, believe it or not, right? Where we're trying to figure out what's the concept of being alive and why different ideas are working against each other. And I often think like, is the greater society thinking about this? Or
does it matter though?
No, it doesn't. But for some reason, the way my mind is at the moment, it's really annoying me that other people don't think like this. Because I'm like, I'd rather be other people at the moment than be thinking the way that I am at the moment. Because of the way I'm looking at the world, it's actually hurting me more than if I was like, oh, I'll just get up and go to work and then come home and watch a bit of telly and switch off my brain and then go to bed and wake up the next day.
You can't really say that though about how people
are living
this is the thing. Day. Like,
this
really
is the thing.
Man.
This is what I was going to say. So this is why it's so weird, and I was going to pose this as a question to you, because I was going to say it when you were chatting before, but it sounds very ignorant that I'm like pointing at other people going, they're not looking at life in the right way. So like, because I don't know. I have no idea, because this is how I've always lived my life. Like, is everybody having the same difficulty with comprehending the world as it works? Or are there only some of us who actually stop and therefore damage ourselves more by truly looking at how the perspective of the world is changing? Like, is it good to figure out how the world is working, or is it better just to flow through it? And those people who just go and from the couch to the job, to the TV, to the work and all of that.
You don't really know. I mean,
are they happy in life, or is it just because they're blocking out everything else? Or are they just living that life? Or is this just a perspective that we put on other people's lives but no one actually lives? I can't figure it out. See, it's very broad. So it doesn't...
It's very broad. Well, first, I mean, the first thing I would say is, I mean, I have no idea how other people are doing.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
And I don't, this idea of somebody going from the couch to the job to whatever, that's not really a fair, even remotely fair description.
That is a remotely fair description.
But it's not even remotely accurate, because it lacks any kind of, it's a description of, like, what did we went to the sea and upstairs here and had an omelette. What I'm saying is it just
the nuances.
It doesn't, not even the nuances, the fullness of existence. It doesn't even come close to the history that might be there
within that family,
within that makeup. It doesn't, And even so, for me, I just don't even fucking. It's not that I don't even go there. I just go.
Well,
I mean, here's what I would say.
This is what I'm saying.
So here's what I would say, that I think more so some people are, say, this gaping hole we were joking about, but I say let's call it a sensitivity to what's happening, and that maybe some people are more sensitive to others about what's happening in life, like. But that doesn't mean anything. It's just that seems to be something that could happen in life, that some people are more sensitive or aware of, well, not even aware, but more sensitive, and there's more of a lack, and maybe then there's kind of an energy to try and fill that lack, and then fill that lack, whether it is through knowledge or through fucking drugs or knowing or whatever the fuck. There's an attempt to try and fill that gaping hole, that gaping huge vast hole.
Meditation fills that in. I found Transcendental filled that in for me.
Yeah.
If there wasn't work going on across the road from me now, I'd be meditating twice a day. And I remember going, oh yeah, it fills that gap. They actually even told you that when they were teaching us. But I noticed it filled that gap. No need to ever, like quit coffee, quit alcohol, quit everything, and absolutely no like qualms about it. Like, oh, this is the right decision, when I was meditating, because it filled that hole. It fills that hole and leaves you content just to work on the stuff that you want. Anyway, look, so that was just one perspective I'm going on, and I seem to be getting that reaction every time I talk about it, where people are like, "Well, I'm not going to put any thoughts into other people's minds."
No, but
almost like I'm like judging those.
No,
other
I don't
people.
think that. I just don't think like, I suppose an awful lot of people I know, I'd end up in conversations like this.
Yeah,
one way or another, and then the people that you're least likely. They mightn't come from a philosophical perspective, but they'll come at it from a
practical,
just a real, more earthed, non-wordy description in a way. Like sometimes they might say things like, oh, I remember this experience I had as a kid, or they might. That's what I mean by that. Is I just think everybody's perspective is different to it.
That's actually a very good way of putting it. And as you say that, I actually have recollections of meeting people, and then I can think of one person specifically, Caroline, and like me saying this sort of philosophical stuff to her, and her just being like, well, no, I just think it's like blah blah blah, and it seems so simple and it's right, and in a way I'm like, oh, she's right, but I can never think like that, and in a way in my head I'm like, I wish I could just think of it practically like that,
Well, do you actually wish like that you would? Because like,
some days.
I mean,
some days
the world needs Dylans, like.
Yeah, I know, but sometimes Dylan can't handle his own brain, and so if I was that ignorant person for those days, not ignorant, not that's terrible to call her, that if I had that ability to put life into the perspective that was so easy to deal with, I would love it. And I say ignorant, and that makes them sound like they're negative, but in fact, it's the opposite.
I feel like they as well. Like they.
Well, I don't think Caroline is, and I don't. If Caroline's watching, I didn't mean to call her ignorant.
Yeah,
but you know what I mean. It's Caroline.
You weren't calling Caroline ignorant.
It's the idea of not. You see, I can't even put my finger on the concept of them. This is what I mean. So these concepts are...
No, but I know what you're saying. Like, but people think different.
Yeah. People think different. That's it. Is it that simple, though? Okay, so if people think different, right? So we all think...
And think less and think more. Some people think fucking... I mean, the thinking fucking process is a pain in the hoop. Like, it is...
Well, that's arguing with yourself in your head, basically.
Well, it seems to be this train of fucking thought that, thinking can't be stopped. You can't really stop thinking, and some people think more than others, but that's not necessarily people. There is this idea in Western culture that being very thoughtful is considered to be a good thing. It's not. It's not a good thing necessarily, or it's not a bad thing. It's just some people seem to think are more in their head than others. Are they? I mean, I would say that I fucking spend an awful lot of time in my head as well. That's why we probably chat like this.
Exactly.
An awful lot of thinking, but it doesn't really get you anywhere.
That's
I don't think.
Well,
compulsive thinking. Or
this is why I'm thinking, like, if we get concepts to our thoughts. So instead of us just, because me and you can talk for days.
Yeah.
Right? Especially if we got a concept or an idea. We can jump on it and we can jump to other ones, flit very quickly between subjects, which we've obviously done in the last hour, right?
Yeah.
Like, it just bounced around. But
I have, yeah.
But I was trying to find a solid stream of thought, like a question that neither of us know the answer to, and then we can sort of delve that apart. Like, what was another one I was thinking of? Oh yeah, there's that. So that's that. What is that? Fuck, I have the tip of it. A component of it is how. Okay, so do you know the way we used to have elderly people give you advice, right? And that's the way it was for hundreds and thousands of years, right?
Yeah.
Up until about 200 years ago.
Yeah.
Because say if there was a granddad who was 76, he could give you an idea on how to live within the world based upon his perception of how things were. Because 76 years ago when he was born, the world wasn't that different to the day he was 76. You know, for like thousands of years, the world barely changed. It changed really, really slowly, right? But until we've hit like the 20th century, 1905 sort of thing, 1912, everything's just accelerated at such a fast rate that now the people who are old and who used to give us guidance on how to live in the world, their opinions don't matter as much, right? Or at least people don't take it into perspective because they can't interact with the internet as well and how the world is changing on the communication and everything has changed, right? So we're no longer looking towards society on a higher to advice on a higher level. So things are dropping down to a younger sort of people who can handle the quick changing society that's happening. And even the turnaround of that is going to be a lot quicker, right? All right, so that was one branch off to it.
That's really interesting, though, that.
It is, yeah? That's a branch.
You don't need to go anywhere else in that one. Like, leave that one hanging there for a moment. That's very interesting, I think, that. The voices, because, like, even in things like, you say, shamanic. Is it shamanic or in Indian society? Not Indian as in American Indian. There's the culture of where the elders, where first of all, the kids are looked after by the community as opposed to parents.
Brilliant.
And then, but it's more the elders that do the job of looking after the kids. And I find that interesting because the wisdom is then passed on. Yeah. So either having lived, there is some wisdom in having experienced this, and that you can maybe give a few tidbits on to somebody, or there's no value in it whatsoever. Having lived, but you would have you would suggest that the older people have a huge amount to give, but there isn't a forum for it, really. Exactly.
And so nowadays, we're putting them into homes and stuff like that, and then so therefore younger generations aren't learning off generations, and the way that we look at them.
I'm just sorry, just the getting the homes is really generalised, but just if you take the idea of that. Is there a forum for it? Like, there isn't on television and there isn't on the social media. There isn't.
No,
not really.
Older people are seen as like, aha, look, the older person now. Yeah. Well, in the past, it used to be, open the door, this person's been through it. I mean, we still have it to a perspective, to a degree, but I think the perspective of older people in general is seen less as an integral role within the family and more as a like, there's another thing that's happening. Almost like a burden in ways. It's terrible.
Yeah, I think you could be right. Yeah. So that means we'll be burdens then.
So then, but then how are we? But then how are they teaching the kids? And so therefore, I have no idea what this is, but therefore, right? So you have children growing up where being old isn't seen as a thing of respect and something to attain. That means that their lives. How is the perspective of their lives then? What are they working towards? That way? Well, in the past, it would always be like, you become the granddad at the house, you become the figure of the house.
Well, I think that does exist a little bit, but there just seems to be less. Is there less reverence towards it? Is it because we kind of all see through? I don't know. I suppose it depends on the parent and the person, really, doesn't it? I mean, if you're fucking like certain, it depends on the person.
Yeah,
more so, really, because I mean, certain people. You just go to certain older people. You just go to, and they won't. They have a non-judgmental attitude, and they will. You'll fucking find yourself saying all sorts of shit to them,
opening up,
and there's non-judgment, and normally they'll give you a bit of helpful advice that is kind of useful. So It's more of a one-on-one thing, but then on a forum level, on a mass, given the mass communication things that we have at the moment, it's not there.
It's not, is it? Yeah.
No, it's interesting.
And how will that affect society? And then also, because people are having less kids, then it's going to be a top-heavy society. You know?
Yeah.
So we're going to have when we get old, there's going to be like loads of us old people, very few young people in comparison. So their taxes all have to rise to take care of us because we're all getting old and all the hospital.
Yeah.
To
work, pay it back.
All right.
Yeah.
And so if we're not respecting the level of society or the level of age in society, that is going to be the most prominent in the next 20, 30 years. How does that affect our society in the long run?
Yeah, so you're saying then if we right now are not making sure that they are, I don't know if is it definitely true. I would say that they definitely get way less. The elders get way less coverage on any sort of media. There's no media outlet, but was there ever?
I don't know. Yeah, maybe even in the past it was more geared towards older people. And then see, I don't know.
No, I don't think so. I'm sure people who were older would have looked back, we'd say in the 50s and 60s, would say in their 70s, in the 50s and 60s, would have looked at TV and gone, fuck's sake.
Yeah,
fucking
maybe
bullshit.
they were.
Yeah.
It's weird. We're grand because by the time we get to...
We're grand.
By the time we get to 70, man, I'll just chuck on a virtual reality headset and live in a dream world.
Big fucking bag of weed. I'm taking up smoking again once I get to 65 or 70.
Right?
Yeah, I am, yeah.
I'm going to, if I had virtual reality, I mean, this would be a dream if it becomes reality now, is to learn how to sail a long boat with sails down the right side of the South America.
Ooh.
So spend 2 years learning how to sail the boat and then sailing it.
Nice.
Yeah, and just stopping in each port.
That's something you want to do, is it?
That would be a dream. Yeah, I only figured it out there a few weeks ago.
Jesus, you might
or about 6 months ago.
Yeah. Be interesting to see if that idea hits you sooner.
Yeah. So anyway, that was one perspective, but that is just a branch off of another point that I had, but I can't remember what it was. I can't even remember, Captain. How long have we been going?
I was just curious about it. I don't think we're that long. I'm bursting to go to the toilet, which was saying to me that we might wrap it up. Would we?
What time is it?
It's
what time
2
did we
o'clock.
start?
I think we started
12:30?
around 12:45 maybe.
So an hour and 15. It's quite short for us, but anyway, it's good.
Well, I mean, I can hold not going to the toilet, but that'd be a bit ridiculous, wouldn't it?
It would, yeah.
Yeah.
No, we'll call it.
September. I'm gone. Yeah, so we do it again in September?
All right, but I'll come up with a few concepts to throw at you.
Yeah.
And see what you can...
I think that'd be a nice idea. Well, we'll have catching up to do, obviously, for the first...
Yeah, of course, hour.
Yeah. I messaged Emmett there to say about getting the band together and doing...
Oh, yeah?
Doing a live thing on a I think you'd have to do it on a Saturday or Friday night and a few beers.
Sounds good. I might be off drink by September now.
Well, you don't have to have a few beers anyway.
The plan is August, a bit of a party month. I'm going to Barcelona and I go to London and stuff like that, and then back dry
September to Christmas then.
Yeah, and then have a few drinks with my family at Christmas. Maybe a few in January.
A few beers at Christmas time now. One night out.
Yeah. Well, what I'll do is I'll buy a whole load of those 3.2%
cans.
Real nice cans. The sour beers.
Sour, yeah.
Yeah, it's got a white sort of label. I think it's a German company. You know, it's kind of got a sandy finish on the...
It's like, I know, they're not German.
They have a few different ones. Whiplash.
That's an Irish beer company.
Oh, is it?
Certain. Yeah.
And the sour version of theirs is 3.2%. Tastes lovely.
Yeah.
And it's not that strong, so I can have a few of them before I start getting messy. I had 3 beers the other day and I was hearing my words just coming out like this. And I was like, this is weird. I'm not drunk. But I was like,
I'm going to a fucking craft beer festival this Saturday.
Oh, Jesus. Is that the one you went to with Emmett last year?
No, this is called Häagen-Dazs in Sligo, and I think there's 60 different types of beers and 20 different breweries coming from all over the world, and Häagen-Dazs it'd be fucking
bit of crack. Häagen-Dazs, so there's going to be ice cream.
No, what's it called? Hag. There's a beer called Hag. Fucking
hey.
Hag. Hag Stravaganza, it's called. What did I call it? Yeah, Hag Stravaganza.
I don't know what you call
it. It's on in Sligo, in their brewery. Anyway.
Frank, pleasure as always.
Yeah, hopefully I can turn it off correctly this time.